to the everyday life. It can be at school, it can be at. Do you hear me well? Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It can be, in the street, it can be on travel. So after traveling also, of course, when I was like teenager, I was with many different culture. So I saw a lot at that time, or also through music, to different, culture, Arabic, African, Caribbean too. And then little by little, I travel outside Europe, and I see the same thing in Africa, in Caribbean, than in United States. So I was really, touched. But at that age, you don't really realize what you can do, how you can move, what is happening. You don't know enough about history, about, many things. So all that came from, let's say, my 7, 8 years old to now. And when the pandemic, of course, was there, um, I was really shocked by the never ending hatred, through black people, and how things were going in US. Of course, it awake a lot of other things, but it was also here in Europe, in our everyday life. It's been 17 years Reggie and I are together. We have 3 daughters, different, experience of life. He come from another place, I grew here. But this, the racism was always present in our life, his life, my life. And I said at the moment, how can we do something to try to unite? Because all these people that are hating, are getting more and more together. You see in Europe, the extreme right. You see in United States with Trump. Everywhere, those mean folks and ignorant and coward people, are getting more and more together. So it's like, what is happening? What can we do, to fight this? Because it's in the system, it's in politics, it's everywhere. So I was thinking, I say, okay, music for me is really the best way to express ourselves. I cannot speak for black people, I'm white. So what can I do? I want to ask people from Africa, US, Caribbean, from different generation, because they of course live different experience, in their lives. So it was important to know what they have to say today, what they want to say, because as long as we can express ourselves, we can, continue to do something. But the moment when they shut us down, so let's go and express ourselves, let's unite. This was really the main goal at first. I wanted to get together.
So I'm interested to hear from some of the other musicians who are performing on this, on what prompted you to say, okay, this is how I want to express some of how I feel about th- these issues.
Wow. Well, it's well, like you said, during the pandemic, that and along with the what would you call it, the political shift in the U.S. and over in Europe has brought a lot of these things out, just out in the open, because of leaders of government are making these smaller entities of people feel like they're like what they feel is valid. And it got, after a while, we started looking and seeing these things going on, and it's kind of like it's time to make another move, another push for at least a dialogue, because it's getting a little bit too gratuitous killing of people, and crushing of other people's rights and whatnot. So through music, that's a great, it's the ultimate communication, and you can reach people. It might not get through to them at one point, but it will eventually. Plus,
Right.
yeah, music is medicine. Music is a form of healing. So hopefully we can heal some hearts, heal some souls, or along the way, and bring some awareness and at least a peace of mind to folks. So that was my impetus.
Mhm. And Tutu, I'm curious because you've had this expansive experience from coming from South Africa, living in Belgium, which is a colonial country to say the least, um, and certainly having their presence being known in both, well, in all parts of the world. Um, tell me, tell us how this sort of dichotomy of going from one continent to another, and how you've experienced racism, and and I'm sure it comes out in many different ways. But are there similarities in doing this album with everyone? And I'm not sure how you guys communicated, but are there similarities that you found in how oppression works and how you chose to shed light on it?
Mm. Well, I mean, growing up in apartheid South Africa, it was very clear. At least there, you knew. I mean, it was written.
Yeah.
No, this bench is for Europeans and this is for blacks. And even though the wedding on the bench is not there anymore, you still feel it, especially in places like I studied at the University of Cape Town,
Oh yeah.
and Cape Town still today in 2022, you feel it. You can, especially if you grew up there, you know what that is. And then coming to Belgium was a bit of it was tricky. I have to say it was very tricky. I have to say that it took me a long while to understand those very subtle microaggressions that you experience, because in South Africa,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Mhm.
And coming here, um yeah, it was it's there. I mean, you see it by how society deals with us. I mean, I used to joke and I say, if you want to see black people on TV in Belgium, wait for a soccer game, you
Mhm.
know. um
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, compared to the Netherlands, I feel like the Netherlands is much further in progress than in Belgium. When they had the first black bus driver in a little town here in Tervuren, that was, or Turnhout or whatever, black folks were like celebrating.
Mhm.
There's a black bus
Whoa.
driver.
Mhm.
Or, when I first saw a young black lady speaking fluent Dutch on TV, telling the news, that was also something to
Wow.
pause the TV and take a picture and go on social media and go like, finally, you know. Um, but on a personal level, I have to admit that I've been fortunate, I guess, because of what I do.
Mhm.
Um, I cannot say that I have really experienced it directly. If I go to a gig, and I walk in the afternoon, um, I can feel that people expect me, first of all, to speak French, because every black person here
Mhm.
speaks French, and they get very surprised that I don't speak French at all. But then I do my job, and just how the aura of people feel around me in the afternoon when I walked in, and after having done my job, it's very different. It's like, now I get treated like, oh, we see you now because you're the singer. Now we see you. So it's been in Belgium. It's been tricky to, especially back when I was younger. It was tricky to pinpoint, but it was there. It was there, and I had to realize that Flemish people are in general shy. They just shy people. Um, that if you pass somebody or you open the door for somebody, and then they don't acknowledge you, or you say hello to somebody and they don't acknowledge you. It's not necessarily that they're being racist. It's just that they're shy. I mean, they do that to each other. They don't acknowledge each other anyway. So, but for me, coming from a place where in my skin, a white person treated me like that, I knew exactly what it was. So here it was a bit tricky to navigate.
It's on the down low.
Yeah. But I mean, it's definitely there, like I say, it's as you in America say, systemic. It's most definitely in the system. It's there.
So musically, how do you address this? I mean, how do each of you guys address this musically to convey some of these, some of the historical sensibilities, but also the very real life, real time expressions, and how do you work through those kinds of emotions musically? I mean, does that change, or is that always present in your work?
For me, the particular song that I chose, when Stefany approached me, I was already kind of busy with this idea of singing words from a poet from South Africa. Her name is Lebogang Mashile. And this particular poem that I chose, I wasn't actually sure if it was going to fit in the theme of what the theme was. But it just resonated with me so much because, the poem is called From the Outside In. I am from the outside in, or from the inside outsider. I don't remember.
From the outside in.
From the outside in, yeah.
At least we have rehearsals to get that sorted out.
I'm at a stage in my life right now. I'm at an age where I have lived half my life in South Africa, and I'm close to having another half of my life in Europe. So, I was born in South Africa, so I feel like an insider, but then having lived outside of South Africa for almost 20 years, some of my friends make fun of me and tell me, go back to Belgium, and it's as a joke, but that hurts.
Wow.
So I'm like, so that's why that poem spoke, it really spoke to my heart, because it's kind of like I am South African, in my heart, in my soul, but I have lived outside of South Africa for so long now that, I look at things, I'm already looking at things in a very different light than I would have if I was still staying.
I mean, what you speak about of always having it 1 foot in, 1 foot out of some kind of societal or cultural arena, that's sort of what happens too when we talk about racism on many different forms. It's not systemic racism, I think. And I guess I have this question too. Is this project really focused on racism in many different forms, or is it focused primarily on the racism that comes across from various organized entities, systemic racism?
It sounds like there are a lot of the tunes sound like they're from many different sides of it. Mine, the one with Oliver and DJ Grasshopper, Oliver Lake, I'm sorry, and DJ Grasshopper, that's just straight up anger again, concerning racism. And the one that I did with Alicia Hall Moran is her perspective on, well, in my opinion, her perspective on sending her two sons out to school every day and having to worry about them coming back in one piece. So that's another aspect of racism. Steph, you know, what's yours? Yours is being a mother, right?
Yes, exactly. That fear of always underlying the surface. When your son becomes a certain age and he gets taller and he's physically stronger, and how he becomes from a cute boy to a threatening figure. Like, for example, this summer, my son had the cops called on him at a pool, at a public pool, and just for no reason. And I'm sitting right there with his father, and the pool director just did that, and I was like, okay, I'm in that area now. My son is 13. I'm in this area now, and so it's a very precarious place to be as a mom, and I join all other mothers in my neighborhood as that in our building. Some mothers, as a result of the trauma they experienced through George Floyd, won't even let their sons go out at night without being unaccompanied. There's a real rippling effect of trauma within the community.
And is that addressed through this project? Alicia, I know you have, I mean, you have an interesting perch as well. I mean, not just being a mother, but crossing different genres of music, coming from the classical area, certainly having this tangent to jazz and other instrumental music, spoken word.
Well, I think that, well, first of all, hello, everyone.
Wow.
And this has been really interesting to listen to. I was listening in the backstage, so I've heard everybody speaking since the beginning as well. I think that George Floyd, so, May 2020, we're in the middle of pandemic. And I think that the sense of urgency that comes from all the visible endangerment, we don't just have a history of violence and extermination when politics come to a head in this world. Like it's already, right, been attempted. We've already seen it. It's not like, oh, I wonder what no. We've seen it, but mostly in this generation, it's about, more in a book, or if you live in Manhattan, it's more like on this instance here in Queens, this instance here, or this in Minneapolis, or this in St. Louis, but, to really understand at a time when all the world's eyes are more idle than usual, that the people put in charge to create civil order in a time of chaos are the ones, it's like we knew this, but we got to see it. Yuck. That they actually have the most access to our neck. And that it will feel like when they do it, it's like a joke to them. Like you about to be a game. Like game hunting. Oh, the world's ending. What are we going to do? Oh, we going to go hunting now? That's what's happening? Okay. So, and I felt violence creeping up and fear, but it's really the endangerment. So when I think about genre to genre, I've been in a Broadway show when Trayvon Martin was murdered. Broadway actors putting on the hoodies, going on the street, doing the protests, stopping the show, the whole thing, right? I know that the opera communities that I have a window into, the rage, the fury, the protest is identical. I think that, this endanger your life in a special kind of way. And what I really can't stand about it as far as being a mom, because, this is strewn amongst our girls as well. Very much in danger on the worst day. They're just as vulnerable on the worst day. On a medium day, boys for sure are a more common target. But when it gets bad, there are many women we've lost to the same exact disgusting circumstances. So I think that when you're talking about being a mom, part of the disappointment is in realizing all the things my parents had done for me and all the stories that my grandparents of things my grandparents did for them. And it's like a kind of sickening feeling, which is where the griminess of our track, I think, really hit me hard. I felt it really powerfully when they sent me that track. It was like knowing that I'm probably the grandmother to a girl or boy or child who will have their own societal muck that they're dealing with. When I thought it was better, and it is different. And I'm not naive. We do history. I got mad shows about lynching, like scripts right there, like that we're still making. So I'm not got my head in no bag or anything in the sand. But even still, and so if the kids feel they're in danger now, and their response to it is different, I just want them to love each other. So if Black Lives Matter, if Black Lives don't matter, then it doesn't have essence. Then we don't need to have concern. Then Black lives don't factor into nothing. Then how do these Black kids treat one another? That's what became very precious to me. Kind of a certain general hatred, general ignorance, general stupidity, evil, the allness. But the tenderness between the kids. And how do they regard each other? And the little Black girl in the class, the little Black boys in the class, the theys in the class. Are they still able to see each other as their best bet in the future? This is a good partner for me. This is a safe relationship. This is a safe person to vote for class president because they're going to be here at the end of the year. These kinds of assurances, this is where my voice drops.
So part of what you are also referring to in this whole body of work is it's not just it really is about the impact of racism beyond generations, but to almost what it does to us as individuals, as human beings, as boys and girls, as children, is to create a way in which we communicate with others that is also as debilitating as the racism that systemically has affected us. And so I'm curious from some of the other people on this project, what other kinds of Alicia talks about this sort of I think you were sort of surprised at some of this of your reaction to the music. And I'm wondering if some of the rest of you also had moments where you were taken aback by what you had created or what other people on this project had created, and the kind of awareness that maybe hadn't come to the forefront that is now a part of your daily thinking.
Okay, well, I'll speak on it briefly, unless you want to go, Mark. How you doing, Mark?
How you doing, Jean-Paul? Blessings.
All right.
I was actually going to say I defer to the king, so bring it on, brother.
Okay. Listen, the thing that's basically I think we are articulating here, which is very, very important. The African American experience has always been a kind of very nationalistic experience. Our suffering, our experience exists in America. The churches have a lot of dominance over how we're able to speak to the international community, or we experience, I think, through politicians who travel abroad. And that's where the Panthers were trying to internationalize our situation, so where we can speak to people who are experiencing similar things. What you notice is when you travel a lot is that it's you have a lot more in common with people who live in other countries. Not only people of color, I might add. You know what I mean? If you look at the British, how they organized all their oppression, it's pretty much it runs the gamut, right, throughout history. So I think what this project really articulates to me is a more intelligent way of expressing our culture. So, kind of like what the Black Panthers were trying to do, reaching out to, Algeria and what Fela and Lester Bowie got, exchanging in Nigeria, that kind of thing. And that is really a very powerful thing, because if you're only talking to people in your own sphere, yeah, you can feel your own pain, but you can also get dug down in it. My piece was not really dealing with the pain. Of course, the pain is always there and the struggle is always there, but more of an affirmation of where I want to go. Like Bell Hooks says, one of the greatest aspects of wellness is just to do good, do right by yourself. Be well. That's resistance in itself. So my thing is to envision a kind of aesthetic that encompasses the whole Black Atlantic and try to put it in there, and wherever it falls, that's where it falls. But it also speaks to all of the roots that we could possibly have, piggybacking on all the intelligence that's in that thing. And all of many people on the project are world travelers, have been living in other cultures, have understood, what their otherness means outside of America, and it makes for a rich experience. So that's I just didn't want to get too dug into the oppressive aspects, because coming from Chicago on the South Side, we know that it's just like a cycle. Oh, they doing that again? Okay, here we go. They're doing that again. It's going to look different, but it's going to be the same. And what has to happen is we have to change. We got to change. We got to elevate. We got to find another way to be well with each other. And that's where that knocking that trauma down. Being more tender with each other, being more sensitive with each other first. You can't do nothing unless you do that first.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So finding out new ways to express that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, Mark, your tune, you and Davidson and Sharif's tune, seems like it's an anthem, a calling saying, "Yo, we are here."
Yeah, check that out. Well, I mean, I do believe the tune is more on the side of the affirmation of things. I can't speak for Sharif, who wrote the spoken word piece and performed it, but it's clearly a little bit of a reminder to speaking to our own community about don't forget where we came from, who we came from, and all the leaders and powerful people that have come along the way, and we are their offspring. So in one way, when this project started, I actually played with Reggie first, but you all asked David to do the tune. Anyway, that's going back. But so yes, it's a collaboration. But the title of the project has taken on a kind of new significance for me personally. I just came back from London, where we had a family reunion. My father has just turned 98 years old, young on the 23rd of September. Yeah. And this gentleman, he fought in World War II on the front lines, landed on Normandy, Utah Beach on D-Day at 17 years old. And he's still hanging. Me and my brother played together. So we're already talking about this multiple kind of generation to generation thing that is a living generational activation. And me, mixed race kid from Cambridge, Massachusetts, African American with my father's kind of some African roots and some Native American roots, and my mother's a Jewish lady from the Bronx with Polish and Romanian roots. And here I am now living in Stockholm, and I just clocked the fact that I've pretty much lived half my life in Europe, the UK and Sweden, and half my life started in the States. And so I'm really feeling just the title, my own quote unquote black life in Cambridge, and then moving to New York and navigating this world, and then the instantaneous creation of the Black Rock Coalition after my first couple of months there, and just running into Vernon Reid on a random tip, and then that was my school. I went to New York to go to NYU, but Black Rock Coalition became my university. So I do think that my brother is unquestionably a smooth operator with his beautiful, sublime music. He is even as loud as he wants to turn that guitar up. He's still singing with the birds. So I believe his impetus to create the music bed was very much something to hold people, something to embrace each other, with. And once Sharif heard it, he was just like, "Oh, I got you, man. Here we are here." And he just laid it down. And my brother sent me what he needed to send me, and I could build all the mechanisms around that to keep it traveling, and to keep it moving. And I guess together, we tried to reach that place to not just state that we are here, but we're always going to be here, always been here, Sumerians with afros and everything. And I think we just have to keep pushing that narrative, as much as the pushback is happening. Look what's happening in Italy right now. They are united. There's no question. There is a very strong even in Sweden. I am very sorry to say that the extreme right party has gained majority seats in the government here. And
it's going really high, in Europe and US and everywhere. So it's time, really, I think, to get together.
But this political shift it's been a long time coming. It's been cooking and percolating for the last eight years, and just having that US shift with our man Drumpf, it just made it okay in people's eyes and ears, and you start, well, I guess you can say, losing their minds. So I think this is this project will at least open some ears, open some eyes, or have some type of dialogue, because it's starting to be out of hand.
Are there?
I do plan on having some blades on my drumsticks, so if we can open some heads too, if we have to. That's not a threat. That's just a promise of impact of music. Anyway, please.
Are there, speaking of plans, are there plans for some of you to get together and perform live?
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Yes, Steph just went up. The baby just woke up a bit because we have our phone monitor right there. Yeah, we're doing a tour through Europe, from November, I believe November 10th through the 19th. There you go, Steph. First one will be in Brussels at Le Botanique, and then we're playing in Luxembourg on the 12th, After Schmelz.
No.
And there they are. And then the 17th will be in Paris at New Morning Jazz Club. The next day, the 18th, will be at Jazz Door Festival in Strasbourg, France. And then we pop over to London and UK at Clapham Grand.
Clapham Grand.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. Yeah, 15 folks. It's going to be an adventure, and I got the honor and pleasure of being supported by an illustrious group of folks, and they'll just call me a MD, but it's more of just a coordinator,
the director.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
and so there will be times when I assume that there will be as few as 2 or 3 people on stage, and there may be times when we have the full cast.
Oh yeah, everybody will more than likely be on. Well, at the last tune, definitely will be everybody on there. It's going to be a show, and also everyone giving their giving a little tidbits of what of how they feel. Hopefully we can touch some minds and get people to think, you know, during this time. Say just the right things to get people to think.
You know what?
Bring it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I think he froze.
He froze. Uh-oh. We have.
Well, if people want to buy
internet
tickets,
ain't ready.
but if people want to buy tickets, they can go to the website that's scrolling.
Yes, you can. You can go to Linktree. That's Black Lives from Generation. And also we can go to the website www.jamincolors, and you can see all of that stuff. Ooh, she's tired. And you can find out all the information there. So, Jean-Paul, you were going to say something before you froze.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that you said something that triggered something in my head, and that was that, you know, we've been, as let's say, I would call us in some way progressive artists, musicians, whatever. And we've gone through a very long period. Maybe some of the younger people might not understand it, but we've gone through a long period of this kind of jazz equaling nostalgia, like go back 50 years, put a suit on, look, you know. It's fine, no problem with that. I don't have any problem with that. But what happened is that it's an imbalance that occurs when the modernity side of the music is kind of like suppressed. So I'm very happy, and I always try to attach myself to projects that kind of express that modern side. In other words, so-called jazz not being a specific music from 1950 to 1970, but always the next thing, you know? So it doesn't have to be a particular style of music, but it's our music that we use to inform ourselves on our own modernity. And as long as it's doing that thing, I believe that is the power of what this group of musicians offer. And even though it's been, let's say, somewhat lacking in terms of the balance, this is a strong move toward that. So I'm looking forward to offer.
Well, I mean, that's, you know, that is some clarity in the mix. I can imagine if Spotify were to take this project, they change it to Black music from genre to genre because it very much says the same thing. You know, Black music is just what kind of John Paul is saying too. It's like you can't say that this or that is Black music.
I don't do that. Spotify.
It is our narrative.
You do this Spotify? You on that?
No.
I am.
No. Of course, I am on projects that are on Spotify, but that's, you know, there are things that you can't help in this mix. And
yeah,
but I just say
necessary evil, man. Unfortunately,
it has. I mean, it has its place in the industry as the industry is trying to figure out, you know, a lot of new things with the whole realm of digital music and digital rights and all this thing. So that again is something that the Black music industry, so to speak, or the music industry in which we are a solid community, just have to continue also to work together and to use our power collectively to have our own, you know, piece of this whole thing, because they're trying to go metaverse on a fool.
Yeah, but and we also gotta give. You won't get if you don't give. You know, and
we've been given from day one. We know that.
Yeah. And Jean-Paul hit the nail on the head, man. This is an eclectic enough bunch of individuals where, you know, this could become timely. This is timely music. Everything on this album, every tune is great. You know, it's strong. It has a vision. It has feeling. You know,
but the live also, you know, it's important to talk. What is important with this band is that it can move, evolve, go in different direction. Like we have this tour in November, but we might tour in US in 2023 with few gigs. and it will have, few other members that can join, that couldn't join in
Right.
November. And so it's moving always. This is also important, I think, that this project move always and stay open with of course a strong base, which is the album to start, but it will grow in many different ways. As far as live, I think there will be other things that will come from that naturally. It's something that we will create, I think, also naturally, and it's important to be open to that and to keep that thing worldwide, to say, okay, we know, there is people from US, from many different cities. There is people from Africa, from Caribbean, but they can be people from Brazil. They can be people from different other place, and trying to continue a dialogue, but also mixing people, because even all the composers on the album have different experience and way to see live, and music and all these things. So it's so rich for me. That's what is the most important. It's all these beautiful composer people, human being too, because I will never ask to musicians that are good but that are not, good inside. That's important to really say, okay, we go with something human, and quality of music. It's the main thing, and we express ourselves freely. There is no limit. We are free, and we want to express, what we want to say.
I think that sums up, to me, the feeling I got when I started listening to this album. It was truly a sense of fluidity. And while there is a beginning, if you will, and certainly things that you've coalesced about, the idea and the concept that this can take on a life as it was meant to be, as you draw different people onto the path.
Yeah.
So I want to thank all of you, particularly Stefany Calembert for producing this, for conceptualizing it, but having the
thank you
but
all.
having the intuition, having the intuition and the emotional intelligence to be able to bring all of these other people together who found a way to partner with each other and to share what's inside. I always say what's important for every artist is to be able to reveal their vulnerability. And I think that each of you guys have done that on this recording, but also daily, and certainly here as you've shared Black lives from generation to generation with the Alternative Venues for Jazz group family. So I want to thank you all for coming. We are now sort of at our time limit, but people, go out and support this group, this project. Buy the tickets at the Linktree link that's scrolling. Make sure you go on to the website, which is, one more time,
www.jammincolors.com.
So Reggie could have another life as a radio voice, right?
Hey,
too bad he plays bass.
Yeah, you always gotta have a strong bass.
He's got it. You guys, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
wonderful
you, Alicia.
week.
Thank you, Jean-Paul. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Steph. I don't see you.
Yeah, I'll be
Good to meet you all.
I'll be getting to everybody very soon because we got some music to create.
We got some work to do. Got work
That's
to
for
do.
sure. That's for sure.
And hopefully in New York in January or 2023, we stay in touch for
Excellent.
US.
Yeah, and definitely the South Africans are excited. So
Excellent. Well, you guys
get ready.
Thank you.
Gotta hit up the Cape
Take
Town
care.
Jazz Fest.
Ciao.
We're coming for the Amapiano version. Come on now.
Bye-bye.
Bless.
See you. Bye.
Ciao.